Welcome, everybody, to episode 8 of the Lights Up Show. I'm your host, Andrew. I make this show, Midori, and I will be guiding you through the month's biggest news in movies and television. That includes reviews on Sweet Tooth, Space Jam, discussion on the Disney lawsuits, and much more. If you enjoy the show at any point, be sure to hit that heart button here at twitch.tv/The Level Up Show so you never miss new episodes of Lights Up on the first Saturday of every month. All episodes are also archived on YouTube at youtube.com/The Level Up Network, so be sure to subscribe there. And lastly, Lights Up Night isn't just about the talk show. Every episode is followed up by a live Discord watch along on discord.gg/The Level Up Network. Tonight, we will be doing a drunk watch along of Return of the King Extended Edition, closing out the trilogy with the epic conclusion. That'll be around 10 p.m. Eastern time, I would hope. So make sure you're there. We're going to have the drinking game. We'll figure that out when the time comes, and you are welcome to take part in the drinking game, or you can choose to be abstinent of that, but that's up to you. On top of that, Discord does allow you guys to suggest movies and TV series watch-alongs for the future, and you can take part in the interactive segment in the Spotlight, which you guys did an amazing job with this past month. We've got so many new questions that came in, but keep them coming. Don't stop. Get on there, hashtag in the Spotlight on our Discord, and submit your questions. And then, of course, we have How You Reviewing, which we're going to start off with first here, but welcome to everybody in the chat. We got Mel here, we got Sherry, Empyrean Rose, Store. I think I might have seen Kurt here earlier, and a few others. You guys are amazing for joining on Lights Up Nights. I would say the sort of underappreciated show of the Level Up Network. So I appreciate you guys being here with me during it. Let's get into How You Review, and that is, of course, when I take a look at the movies and TV series that have been coming out over the past month, or things that I've dipped into in my backlog. We're going to start off by jumping over to Rotten Tomatoes, taking a look at a movie that is coming out next week, up on screen right now, The Suicide Squad, and holy crap, you guys. Holy crap, what a turnaround for this franchise. The Suicide Squad right now is sitting at 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. You heard me right, 96% with 90 reviews. That is a 7.9 out of 10 average rating for all critics, and we have a 7.1 out of 10 for the top critics. So definitely considerably lower for the top critics. Still 92% of them favor the movie though. But definitely a lower average rating when you go in the top critics. I do expect that to continue dropping, in honesty, because of that differential between all critics and top critics. On top of that, a lot, for having 96%, 7.9 out of 10 isn't actually that impressive. There are many superhero movies that do crack 8, even get as high as 8.4. If I remember right, The Dark Knight has 8.4 and is also around like a 95% tomato meter. So as we've talked about many times, something to keep in mind when it comes around tomatoes, the tomato meter score, meaning the percentage, that only means that 96% of reviewers enjoyed the movie, would give it 6 out of 10 or higher. I think a lot of you, if you're going with the video game rating scale, you would say 6 out of 10 isn't that great. That's why I keep trying to mold you guys away from that mindset, because movies are scored on a completely different scale than video games. 6 out of 10 is a fine score when it comes to movies, but that's the point, is anything 6 out of 10 or above on Rotten Tomatoes typically will give you a positive rating towards the tomato meter. So having a 7.9, solid, definitely very solid. I think a lot better than so many people were expecting for the Suicide Squad, but also not that crazy when it has 96%. I do expect the tomato meter score and the average rating to drop little by little as we get 100, 150, 200 reviews for this movie. I bet you it ends up closer to 7.5, 7.6 out of 10 average rating with a low 90s tomato meter, if I had to guess, based on my expertise, of course, in this. Let's jump over to some of the snippets, though. Let's go to the top critics, since they are clearly a little bit more harsh on this movie than all critics. Starting off with Donald Clark with the Irish Times. It is not for children. It's not really for adults either. But the eternal inner adolescent that lives within all will almost certainly have a swell time. This is what I'm talking about. This was a positive review on Rotten Tomatoes, you guys. But Donald Clark gave it 3 out of 5 stars, and you can see his review was not glowing. Let's go to a negative review, actually, from Lillian Crawford with Little White Lies, saying, not a single gag lands, and most of them offend. This might actually be worse than the first movie. That's impossible. Let me just start off by saying that is literally impossible. You cannot be worse than Suicide Squad with Jared Leto. It's just not possible. I will not believe that. So that review is thrown out. Forget that review existed. 1 out of 5, though. 1 out of 5. So that was a harsh one. Let's go to a positive review here. Let's go over to Dan Jolin with Time Out. He says, Gunn gets it together, or sorry, Gunn gels it together with a wicked sense of humor and an evident affection for his characters, who, though not so endearing as his Guardians of the Galaxy, are a hoot to hang out with. A 4 out of 5. Let's go to a perfect score. Let's see if we can find one from the top critics. I don't think there is a perfect score from the top critics. Got a few more to dig through here. No, actually, there are no perfect scores from the top critics, but there are a lot of perfect scores from all critics. Oh, I apologize. There is one perfect score. It's a very short snippet, though. Charlotte O'Sullivan with the London Evening Standard said, an epic that's as adorable as it is violent. She gave it a perfect 5 out of 5. Let's go lastly to one more negative review, a 2 out of 5 from Christina Newland with iNews. She says, the Guardians of the Galaxy style goofiness mixed in with lingering shots of maimed lasagna-like innards feels queasy and all wrong. It's like someone exposing themselves at a wedding. I am hearing that a lot, not to a negative effect, but a lot of people are very surprised by just how graphically violent this movie is, especially contrasting with the humor and the sort of adolescent nature of that humor, which I picked up in the trailer. You guys might remember that some of the jokes actually didn't land on me because they did seem a little too juvenile for my tastes, but then some of the jokes totally landed for me in the trailer. So I'm not counting it out, and these reviews, 96% on Rotten Tomatoes, I'm definitely watching this. It's on HBO Max. This will be day one HBO Max next Friday. So that's amazing for me. I have HBO Max. I will be watching this day one, and I will be giving you guys my review on the next episode of Lights Up. Moving on from that, let's go to another movie that I have not seen, but now is 100% on my radar thanks to how amazing the reviews are. And those reviews led me to watching some of the trailers up on screen right now, called The Green Knight, an Arthurian legend. One that I'm not familiar with, I'll be honest with you. But I'm not really familiar with too many Arthurian legends. This has 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. It did drop considerably from where it started. This was like 96, 97, 98% back when it first started having reviews drop after the embargo. It has 145 reviews. It has an average rating of 8.1 out of 10. So this is a good example. 90%, not as high a tomato meter as Suicide Squad, but with 145 reviews, over 50 more reviews than Suicide Squad, this one has an 8.1 out of 10 average rating. So overall, I would consider this the higher reviewed movie, although most people would look at the tomato meter and say, no, it has 90% versus Suicide Squad's 96%. Personally, I look at average rating. That is the more important rating to me. That is in collaboration, though, of course, with the tomato meter, because that is what will tell how polarizing a movie is. If you get a movie that has 8 out of 10 or above average rating, but has, let's say, 75% tomato meter, that is a very polarizing movie. To be able to hold on to that type of average rating when 25% of critics actually dislike the movie, that's an interesting thing that happens every so often, but not very often. An example of that would be Mother with Jennifer Lawrence. That movie has a relatively low tomato meter score, but if I recall, it's above 8 out of 10 in average rating. That all being said, the critics like this movie a lot more than the audience, and I heard this would happen. Even a lot of the reviews from the critics say this would happen, that this is going to be a polarizing movie. It is very consistently loved by the critics, but it has a 56% tomato meter score from verified audience on Rotten Tomatoes, and all audience actually has it as low as 52%. So this is like half and half. That is the definition of polarizing here. We're talking about almost 50% of the people that saw this movie, not critics, we're talking about just your average moviegoer, disliked this movie. So that is very interesting, and in all honesty, actually makes me more excited for a movie like this. I love when that happens. I love when a movie is that strongly affecting, that people would so strongly disagree with the top critics of the world. let's jump over to some of the top critic snippets here. I did not watch anything of Fear Street yet, Doom Turkey. I feel like I need to. I've heard good things about it, specifically certain ones within the trilogy of Fear Street I've heard good things about. But jumping over to Green Knight and its top critic reviews, let's start off with, let's see here, Richard Roper, of course. He says, a dazzling, dizzying fever dream, 3 out of 4, a very short snippet. But Anthony Lane, with a New Yorker, not giving it a score, says, the Green Knight wields a peculiar magic. The reason being that Lowery, as he showed in A Ghost Story, which ranged with ease over centuries, is consumed by cinema's capacity to measure and manipulate time. Okay. Feel like I didn't gather a lot from that one there. Let's jump over to Perry Nemiroff over on YouTube, but a top critic. A visual stunner from start to finish, but the Green Knight does slip into frustratingly enigmatic territory before rebounding strong and sticking the landing with one of the most breathtaking sequences of the year. 4 out of 5 stars from that. Adam Grant with Detroit News says, Lowery dives all the way in, and viewers are rewarded with a sumptuous feast for the eyes and the soul. That is an A-. I'm not seeing any negative reviews, actually, for top critics. Let me take a look here. What did the top critics give it? Yeah, top critics are at 95%. 40 top critics, 95% with an 8.2 average rating. So this is a very highly reviewed movie. Let's take another couple top critic positive reviews here. The Green Knight casts a magical and sometimes mist-bound spell, 3.5 out of 4 from Michael Sullivan with Washington Post. 9 out of 10 from IGN. Christy Pucco says the Green Knight is a heart-rattling, loins-riling, and head-spinning trip that packs a profound punch. And lastly, let's get one negative review from the top critics. Keith Watson with Slant Magazine. And this is interesting here, actually. A methodical, if largely allegorical, exploration of its main character's psyche, this film smooths out the enduring mysteries, opaque psychology, and narrative idiosyncrasies of its source material. 2.5 out of 4. So what's interesting about that is 2.5 out of 4 is actually above a 6 out of 10 average rating. So what happens there, if you guys didn't know, when a score gets above a 6 out of 10 average rating, but is considered a rotten review on Rotten Tomatoes, that means that the reviewer, Keith Watson in this case, when he submitted his review to Rotten Tomatoes, he had to say, even though this is a positive review, I want you to list it as rotten on your website. So that's that's his scale. Even though it's 2.5 out of 4, a solid rating, he considers it to be a rotten review. So really, in my opinion, this movie actually only has one rotten review, and that comes from Simon Abrams, who said, while there is a lot of commendable chutzpah, whatever that word means, and curious longing baked into The Green Knight, the movie's never as compelling as it is unusual. I will be watching that when I get the chance. I'll wait. I'm not going to see it in the theaters, but I will definitely be watching that one. Moving on from that, let's get to some shit that I have watched. Starting off with Space Jam: A New Legacy. Let me put a poll in the chat for you guys. Let me know what you thought of Space Jam: A New Legacy. I'm sure some of you have watched it. It is on HBO Max. This movie is not good. This is not a good movie. That all being said, neither is the original. The original is not a good movie either. But I think I dislike this one more. And that's not just because I've grown up. It's because the original, as much it is as it, here's the thing. The original felt like a celebration of Looney Tunes. This one feels like a manipulation almost. Like it's taking advantage of not just Looney Tunes, but all of WB's catalog of films in some weird circle jerk that it just feels like they're saying, look at us and all of our amazing IPs. Check out Game of Thrones. Check out Harry Potter. Check out A Clockwork Orange for some reason. It's Ready Player One, but a million times worse when it comes to pandering to the IPs. I know some people complained about Ready Player One in that way. I didn't have a problem with Ready Player One. I know it throws a lot of references at you, but it never felt to me like it was just taking advantage of those references. It felt like it was honoring and celebrating 80s, 90s nostalgia. That's what it felt like to me. This is not celebrating 90s nostalgia. This is not celebrating Game of Thrones or Harry Potter. This is look at me, and all the awesome IPs that we own. The acting is not very good. LeBron James is better than Michael Jordan. I will say that he is better than Michael Jordan as far as his acting goes. But there's just a lot wrong with this movie. I appreciate some of what it's trying to say. His son in the movie doesn't want to be a basketball player. LeBron James is kind of a prick at the beginning, trying to force that onto his son, his legacy. His son wants to make video games. Specifically, he's trying to make like an NBA Jam type video game, and he wants to be his own person. He doesn't want to follow in his father's footsteps. He wants to be his own person. And the movie's kind of about LeBron James coming to terms with that and realizing that he should support his son no matter what, obviously. It's kind of a trite and obvious message, but it's a nice message. It's a good message to have, and I appreciate that. The movie has some fine humor. It has some sequences that are exciting, but overall, it's a movie that I think most adults will roll their eyes out at for the most part. Evie and Allie had a good time. They enjoyed it. I don't hear them talking about it anymore, as opposed to Luca and Raya and movies like that where they want to watch it again. They haven't brought up Space Jam since, but when we watched Space Jam, they were entertained. So keep that in mind. I think if I had to give it a rating, I would give it 2 out of 5, I guess. I think that's fair. 2 out of 5 for Space Jam, A New Legacy. Yeah, that's the thing. If I was watching it myself, I might have actually given it an even worse rating, but it's nice to watch a movie with your children that they enjoy. That does make it more palatable in a way, if that makes sense. I heard they don't have a basketball game in the new Space Jam. I would agree with that. It's not basketball. It's like its own sport. The idea is that at the end of the movie, they play the NBA Jam video game version of basketball, the one that the son is developing, and it's a ridiculous point system where you can earn like thousands of points for style and shit like that. It's fine. It's what the movie's going after. It goes with the message of what the son wants to be and what he wants to do, and it also is like a spin on, traditional basketball. I didn't have a problem with it, in honesty. I thought that was fine. But yeah, I would agree. It's not basketball that they play at the end of the movie. I say 2.5. I'm giving it kudos because it's Looney Tunes. Yeah, in a way, I understand what you mean, Sherry. It will introduce Looney Tunes to a lot of kids that have no idea what Looney Tunes is. So that's kind of nice. I would agree with that. Moving on to TV and something that I did enjoy this past month. I got around to watching Sweet Tooth. It is based on a DC comic slash graphic novel about a little boy that is a hybrid with a deer. I will give you a very quick synopsis of what this show is about. I don't want to spoil it, but at the very opening of the show, there is a pandemic. Kind of hits a little bit close to home considering everything, but there is a pandemic that is killing the population. And at the exact same time, this miracle happens where a lot of women start having babies, as you can see on screen, that are hybrid with various animals, whether it be deer or pig or porcupine or owl. And the question is, did the hybrids release this virus? Did the virus cause the hybrids? But essentially, it's a post-apocalyptic show where society is broken down and a lot of people blame the virus on the hybrids. So these young children are hunted down by specifically a group called the Last Men. And it's very disturbing in that way because the kids are all 10 and under and they're being hunted down and poached by the Last Men, and a lot of times their horns are being stripped off and they're being sold. So it's a very disturbing story in a lot of ways, from the virus point of view, from the hybrid point of view, from the hunting point of view. All that is very messed up, but not near as messed up as the actual comic book. If you look at the comic book, the artwork, the vibes, everything about it is really grotesque and disturbing. They made a conscious effort with this show to not go in that direction and make it something that could appeal to young adults and even young teenagers. I would say this is totally fine for even a 10-year-old. I don't think I would let Evie and Allie watch it, but I would let my 10-year-old watch this show. No problem at all. It has a little bit of language, some strong, like, disturbing themes, but it's charming and heartwarming and cute in a lot of ways. The boy that plays Sweet Tooth is really cute, I have to say. Like, this is a really cute kid, and he does a great job as this young character named Gus. But he's called Sweet Tooth by various characters throughout the show because he has a sweet tooth. He drinks maple syrup all the time. He constantly wants to eat candy. It's adorable. So here's the thing. In some ways, I kind of wish it was a little bit more gritty. As I was watching it, there were certain scenes where I was like, oh, I wish they went a little harder there. I wish they were willing to really follow through with the punch, where it feels like sometimes they pull the punch because it's got to be TV 14. But then and then like a moment later, I'd be like, you know what? It's okay. Like, there's not enough shows like this. There's so many comic books, superhero stuff that's being adapted right now and is graphically violent, whether it be Invincible or The Boys or what was the other one that was just on Netflix and got canceled? Jupiter. I can't remember. Somebody it has Jupiter in the title, I want to say. That one got canceled already. But there are so many shows based on comic books right now and graphic novels that are going the super ultra violent route. So I think it's actually nice that this show decided. They could have followed the graphic novel, but they decided, no, let's make this appeal to a very wide audience. And it works for the most part. It really does. There's still plenty of moments in this where I was like, wow, that is messed up. Even though they didn't show it, I was like, that is messed up. I don't need to see it. That is messed up. You know what I mean? I really recommend this show. I think it's a really great start. It's already been approved for season 2. The relationship between Sweet Tooth and his father, I'm going to put that in quotes without spoiling anything. His father at the beginning of the series is really emotionally powerful. I found myself getting a little bit misty-eyed at points. It hits on all of that. You know, sadness, laughs, adorbs, all of that is present in Sweet Tooth. So if I had to give it a rating, I think it's a very solid star, and I would give it 4 out of 5 stars. Check it out, you guys, on Netflix. And let me put a poll in the chat. If you have watched Sweet Tooth, like Sherry did, let us know how you would rate it out of 5 stars. I think Sherry might be the only one that watched it. We got 12 people in the room. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Andrew. This is the Lights Up Show, our movies and television talk show on once a month. Hope you're enjoying it. If you are, hit that heart button here at twitch.tv/The Level Up Show. 3 stars from Sherry. I'm surprised, Sherry. I thought you enjoyed it more than that. It seemed like you thought it was good. I need more. Explain yourself. Hold on a sec. You gave it 3 because you need more? There's a second season coming. That's not fair. Because it ended on a cliffhanger? I mean, that's how they hook you. That's how this shit goes. They got you. Hook, line, and sinker. You're hooked. You can't wait for the second season. I call shenanigans on that rating, Sherry, I have to say. Shenanigans and tomfoolery. And Doom Turkey, did you mean to give it I haven't seen it, or did you mean to give it 1 star? I'm assuming you haven't seen it. Anyway, let us get into our trailers of the month. Because we have 3 of them or 4 of them? How many do we have? We have 4 of them. We have 4 trailers. I'm already forgetting. We just put all this together last night, and I'm already forgetting. Haven't seen it. Got it. All right. Our first trailer of the month. Oh, God.
You're a great mom.
I don't know. I'm fine with Trevor, but with Phoebe, she really keeps me on the outside.
That's normal. She's an awkward, nerdy kid.
Maybe a new home could be an opportunity to start fresh. I just wish she'd get into some trouble.
There's still time.
Nora Durst.
What are you doing here in Somerville anyway?
We're completely broke, and our grandfather left us this creepy old farmhouse in the middle of nowhere.
Your father wasn't much of a homemaker.
He could hardly keep the power on.
You're saying he left us nothing?
Well, I wouldn't say nothing.
You went with the station wagon?
It's the only one that had an engine. What is happening here?
Somehow, a town with no fault lines is shaking on a daily basis.
Maybe it's the apocalypse. Egon came out here for a reason.
Are you troubled by strange noises in the middle of the night?
You experience feelings of dread in your basement or attic?
Have you or any of your family ever seen a spook, specter, or ghost?
Oh my god. You guys hear that?
Something's coming.
The whole city. It's like The Walking Dead.
Yes. It's like a new version of Slimer there.
Ghostbusters, we're ready to believe you. We're closed.
All right. So let me get it out of the way first by saying that I actually am not a diehard Ghostbusters fan. I like Ghostbusters just fine. But I think I just kind of missed it. It wasn't like a part of my childhood. So when I did watch it, honestly, within the past several years, when I really sat down and watched it, I was like, that was a funny movie. That was a good movie. But it wasn't something that changed my life like it did for so many people. So when I watched this, which is a trailer that to me says we are celebrating Ghostbusters, specifically the original, it kind of had like a Force Awakens vibe to it, where it's like, let's get back to what people loved about Ghostbusters. Screw that 2016 film. You know, kind of like how Star Wars was like, screw the prequel trilogy. We're going to go back to what you guys loved about Star Wars. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting here, where they're trying to course correct in a way. And I'm okay with that. Here's the thing. I didn't dislike the 2016 movie because it was trying to do a new thing with a female cast. I disliked the 2016 movie because it wasn't a good movie. It wasn't very funny. It didn't land for me. It was fine. I didn't actively dislike it, but it was just fine. Whereas I think this one does look considerably better in various ways. Yeah, it wasn't that bad. I agree with Tomb Turkey. The 2016 one wasn't that bad. It was fine. It definitely wasn't, I think, what people wanted from the Ghostbusters franchise. Again, not because of the women, just in quality. It wasn't to that level for a lot of people. This one, I wonder if it's going to go too hard, actually, on pandering to the original fan base for Ghostbusters. I don't think so, because I feel like Force Awakens 100% panders to the original Star Wars fan base, and I loved Force Awakens. I was okay with it. It felt necessary. And a lot of people have been waiting for this from Ghostbusters for a very long time. So in that way, it does feel somewhat necessary. Miss Mel says, I was never super into Ghostbusters either. Paul Rudd looks amazing. Paul Rudd is amazing, looks amazing. The older he gets, the more beautiful he becomes. Aging like a fine wine, that guy. I grew up with Ghostbusters 2. Interesting. The one that seems like nobody likes in comparison to the first one. I shouldn't say that. People like Ghostbusters 2 just fine. But it does seem like that one is not enjoyed near as much as the first Ghostbusters movie. Moving on. Store, welcome back. I have not sped up anything else. The only thing that I sped up was the pre-show stuff. So you don't have to worry about looking out for that anymore, Store. But let us move on to our second trailer of the month. This one for Dune.
My planet Arrakis is so beautiful when the sun is low. Rolling over the sands, you can see spice in the air. The outsiders ravage our lands in front of our eyes. Their cruelty to my people is all I've known. What's to become of our world? Paul.
The music's good, man. Music's very good.
Boy.
Hey, Duncan, can I trust you with something?
Yes, always. You know that.
I've been having dreams about a girl on Arrakis. I don't know what it means.
Dreams make good stories. But everything important happens when we're awake. Hey, you. Put on some muscle?
I did?
No.
We are House Atreides. There is no call we do not answer. There is no faith that we betray.
Smile, Gurney.
I am smiling.
The Emperor asks us to bring peace to Arrakis. House Atreides accepts!
I know you. There's something awakening in my mind.
You need to face your fears.
Come with me. You need to be ready. You never met Harkonnens before. They're not human, they're brutal.
The Duke's son sees too much.
This is why Dune. Kill them all.
That's Oscar Isaac. Yep, Dune Turkey. The cast in this is insane. Josh Brolin, Oscar Isaac, Timothy Chalamet.
Off the ground, go!
This is an extermination. They're picking my family off one by one.
Rebecca Ferguson,
Let's fight like demons.
Khal Drogo.
Dad, what if I'm not the future of House Atreides?
A great man doesn't seek to lead. He's called to it. But if your answer is no, you'll still be the only thing I ever needed you to be. My son. If anything happens,
Little long trailer.
will you protect Paul?
With my life.
Only together can we stand a chance.
It's time.
That ending shot there confused me. Is that Paul on the enemy side? Look, kind of like that was Paul on the enemy side at the end there. See, I don't know anything about Dune. It seems like I'm like a lot of you in the chat. I know nothing about Dune. Dune has completely been off my radar forever. I've never seen the original movie. I don't read books. I'm illiterate. So yeah, this is brand new to me. But it looks so good. The music by Hans Zimmer, an amazing cast of actors and actresses. Denis Villeneuve. I need to learn how to say the guy's name because he's a great director. Love Prisoners. Thought Blade Runner 2049 was awesome. Arrival was great. He's on fire. I mean, this guy has made so many great movies in succession. I have a lot of faith that this is going to be a very good movie, and hopefully we'll start off an amazing franchise in film. So, read it? No, Sherry, there's no way I'm going to read it. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to read it. It's never going to happen. There's nothing you could tell me to read unless it has pictures. I'm that guy. I'll read a graphic novel. I'm not reading a book. I'll listen to a book. I might listen to a book because I have like a 3-hour commute a lot of days back and forth from work. So I will listen to books. I should, honestly. I'm getting tired, actually, of listening to the same music over and over again. So I should start listening to books on my rides. Not even just to and from work. I travel to sites all day. So it's got to happen. I should get on that. I should ask you guys. I'm going to put together a new Discord channel for you guys to suggest books for me to listen to. Maybe we'll have another show, a new talk show about discussing books on our channel. But this does look great. It really does look great. And that trailer is unbelievably long. So long, in fact, that we're going to skip forward a little bit to the next trailer. Oh my God, this trailer is insanely long. All right, moving on to our next trailer of the month, coming in from Pixar. We have Burning? What's it called? I can't remember. Something red. Something red. Burning red?
All right, guys. The
Turning red. Turning red.
Let the fun begin. tell me how the formula begins. X equals...
Oh my god.
No, this isn't happening.
My child goes to this school. Why you call this trouble? How dare you? Ow! I paid my taxes.
What is that?
Oh, snap!
All right, settle down, little goblins.
Whoa.
Oh god, we're gonna get DMCA'd. That is a big red panda.
Then. Yes! No!
WTF, I guess. Solid nope, really? The animation looks amazing to me. I think the animation is some of the best I've ever seen from recent Pixar, even. It's got, once again, it's a different visual aesthetic than what we've seen from Pixar for such a long time. Luca went off in its own direction, and now I feel like this one, Turning Red, is also going off in its own direction. Feeling somewhat, again, inspired by some Japanese animation. I don't feel like we can say the story looks like shit. It's obvious what they're going for. It's a girl that's going through puberty, an allegory for puberty, specifically set on by a helicopter mom. We know the story, like we know the setup. It seems like we've seen it so many times, but that's all we have. We have a setup here. This is a 100% teaser. So all we have is a setup for what this story could be. I do hope that it goes into some interesting directions, because this is done by the director that did Bao, which is a short for Pixar about the little dumpling. You guys remember that? Which makes sense, because that one's also in a way about a mother letting go of her child. This one, a helicopter mom needing to let go, but also adding on the layer of, you know, a child going through puberty, changing. So it's got another layer to it on top of Bao. But it makes sense for that director to move on to a full-length feature, kind of continuing on with what she, I believe, started with Bao. I'm surprised so many of you are down on this trailer in the chat. I mean, that's just kind of a thing at this point with Pixar, obviously. Coco, you know, transforming into skeletons. Luca transforming into sea monsters. Brave transforming into a bear. I think the mom transforms into a bear, right? In Brave. Now I got to go through all of them. What are some other ones with transformations? The other ones aren't really transformations. Like Cars isn't a transformation. Toy Story isn't a transformation. It's just things coming to life. Or, you know, adding, like, you know, what would you call it, to those creatures. Coco is my favorite Pixar film, so I will never talk bad about Coco. Brother Bear is not Pixar, so that doesn't count. Are there other ones? There are other ones, aren't there? Onward doesn't count. There's no transformation in Onward. Oh, I would count Soul. Soul counts. Human transforms into like this cute little soul character, but also on top of that, human transforms into a cat. So I would count Soul. Soul counts. Coco, I would consider a transformation. I'll count that because it's a human becoming a skeleton. Like, you know, I would count it as like a visual transformation. It works for me. But I think that might be all of them, actually. Are there ones that I'm missing? I'm sure there are, but I can't think of any off the top of my head. Yeah, it's not an animal. That's true. But I just mean like transformation. That's why I count Soul as well, because he transforms into this spirit blob. So I wasn't even just thinking animals. I was thinking just in general, Pixar loves transformation. Encanto is Disney Animation Studios. So yeah, I wouldn't count that. That looks pretty good though. Encanto does look pretty good. We didn't watch that on any of our shows here. We do have one more trailer to get through. And this one, I feel like we were including for comical reasons. I hope you guys enjoy. We are getting DMCA'd, you guys.
Sounded so sweet, so seductive. Synonymous with worth, style, power. But their name was a curse too.
I've been a Gucci all my life.
Your name is in the history books.
Paolo, you are Gucci, you need to dress the part. It's chic.
Gucci needs new blood. It's time to take out the trash.
They're my family.
So am I.
You picked a real firecracker.
She's a handful.
Bravo.
Story.
I don't consider myself to be a particularly ethical person, but I am fair.
I don't know. Lady Gaga is so villainous. Oh my god, I'm terrified of her.
Keep a secret.
Father, son, and house of Gucci.
I don't know, man. I don't know about this one. So my first thought is, this is Ridley Scott. It's got a lot of great actors and actresses. It feels 100% Oscar bait. But this is one of those situations where I really could see this movie getting like 40% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like 100% Oscar bait. It's got all the pieces. It's got Ridley Scott. It's got an amazing cast of actors and actresses. And a great story from what I hear. I actually don't know the story of the Gucci family and the murder thing. I have no idea what that's all about. I'm not going to look into it. I don't want to ruin the twist ending of reality. But yeah, this all the pieces aren't going to come together on this one, I fear. It feels like Oscar bait that's going to fall apart. Anybody else get that vibe? It looks like it could be a dumpster fire. One that I want to watch because it's going to be a dumpster fire. But yeah, I kind of get the sense that we're looking at a dumpster fire here. Wow, I think that we said that at the exact same time, Store. I don't know why we both said dumpster fire at the exact same time. Yeah. I feel like, I mean, I don't know this for sure, but all of the Italian accents feel a little too much to me. Like, I've heard actual Italian accents, and it feels like they're trying to dial it up to 14. I could be way off on that. I don't have a lot of experience listening to Italians speak English, but that's the vibe I get, is that they're going a little hard. Store's on fire again, that's why. On fire from the rainbow. That final scene with her, you may not be an ethical person. Oh my god, get out of here. Get out of here with that shit. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. All right. Let's take our intermission now. When we come back, first off, I got something in my throat. When we come back, we'll get into In the Spotlight, and we'll get into our top 7 stories of the week. So do not go anywhere. Enjoy this trailer. We will be right back. Welcome back to episode 8 of the Lights Up Show, our movies and television talk show live on the first Saturday of every month. Make sure you never miss an episode by following here at twitch.tv/The Level Up Show and turning on notifications. A big thank you to our very first follow of the night, and maybe the first follow we've ever received on Lights Up. Coming in from Savage Patched, a great name. Welcome to the show. I am Andrew. It's great to have you here. Hope you enjoy the rest of the show. We just finished off intermission. We still got a few things left. If you are watching this on YouTube as an archive, please hit that subscribe button at youtube.com/The Level Up Network. Turn on the bell. Make sure you get alerts for future video uploads. And of course, become a part of this community even when we are not live on Discord at discord.gg/The Level Up Network, which we're going to take advantage of right now, one of our Discord interactive segments. Did I tweet out? No, I did not tweet out. I'll be honest with you. I did not. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it helps with Lights Up specifically, but could have been a failure on my part this time. Let us move on, though, to a segment that utilizes Discord in a major way. It is called In the Spotlight. Get on that Discord. Go to hashtag In the Spotlight. Submit your hard-hitting questions for me to answer live on the show, like They Call Me Denny did. He asked, in your opinion, what director has been the most consistent throughout their career? And a follow-up, which director do you think started with so much potential but then slowly lost it? Very good question. So the first one that immediately comes to mind when it comes to consistency, probably Martin Scorsese, right? That's like the obvious choice. I mean, I feel like this is one we can actually do some research on, some quick research. So Scorsese, let's look at his tomato meter. Martin Scorsese. As a director, his highest rated movies... Hold on a sec. Some of these aren't as director, though. Is there a way for me to narrow this down? His credits. A lot of these are executive produce. That's a bummer. It doesn't allow me to narrow it down to him as director within Rotten Tomatoes. But still, I can kind of look through this. So as a director, he's got Rolling Thunder, 92%. He's got Silence, 83%. The 50-Year Argument, 78%. Wolf of Wall Street, 79%. That deserved higher. That's ridiculous. George Harrison, Living in the Material World, 86%. Hugo, 93%. Shutter Island, 68%. Public Speaking, 92%. Shine a Light, 86%. Departed, 90%. Aviator, 86%. Gangs of New York, 73%. All right, never mind. I feel like some of these movies are actually underappreciated. Gangs of New York got a 73% on Rotten Tomatoes? What? That's insane to me. Casino, 80%. Quiz Show. No, he wasn't director in that. Age of Innocence, 84%. Cape Fear, 75%. Last Temptation of Christ, 81%. King of Comedy, 89%. Raging Bull, 93%. Last Waltz, 98%. That might be his best. Taxi Driver, 96%. Mean Streets, 95%. So his best stuff was definitely earlier on in his career. But I'm shocked, actually, by how low some of these are in Tomato Meter. I'm still going to say that he immediately came to mind, and I think he does deserve consistency, because you might have noticed that not a single one of those, although some of them got lower than I thought they would, not a single one of his movies that he's directed that I found here had a negative Tomato Meter score. I'm pretty sure he's 100% positive in Tomato Meter. So that's, right off the bat, that's consistency, without a doubt. Another one that I would say has probably been very consistent is Christopher Nolan. I don't think he's had any negative. Let's find out. Tenet, 70. Dunkirk, 92. Interstellar, 72. Dark Knight Rises, 87. Inception, 87. Dark Knight, 94. Prestige, 76. Way too low. Should have been higher. Batman Begins, 84. Insomnia, 92. Memento's missing. Where's Memento? Memento is not on here. Another freaking spider. Get out of my way, spider. For some reason, Memento's not on here. But I think that's pretty much all of them, besides Memento, which also is positive. So he does not have a single negative movie on Rotten Tomatoes. Memento has 93%. It's actually one of his highest. So Christopher Nolan, I think, definitely deserves to be in there. Spielberg is amazing, but he actually isn't that consistent. Spielberg does have some duds. I think when you take the wide range of movies he's done, I respect a lot about Steven Spielberg because he doesn't stick to one type of movie. Like, take for instance, Steven Spielberg versus Martin Scorsese. Martin Scorsese makes a lot of these same kind of movies. We all know he does a lot of mob gang type movies, right? So in some ways, I disrespect that about Martin Scorsese, and it makes his consistency less impressive. Whereas Steven Spielberg, for the most part, he's very consistent. He's most often a very positive director, but he has played around with a lot of different genres. He's done animation. He's done hardcore like war drama with Saving Private Ryan. You know what I mean? Schindler's List. But then he's also done things that could be considered children's movies. I'd say the closest thing Martin Scorsese has done to that is Hugo. Hugo is the only time Scorsese has really, I thought, went outside of his comfort zone and done something different. And it actually rewarded him in a major way. Nominated for several Academy Awards, got him 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. So I wish he would do that more often, actually. Let me see. Who else do I think is very consistent? Right now, it's like a little too early to say this person, but I will say Denis Villeneuve. Why can't I say it? Let's take a look at Dennis real quick here. Not a single negative movie, and a lot of them incredibly high in score. Blade Runner 2049, 88%. Arrival, 94%. Cesario, 92%. Prisoners, 81%, deserved higher. Enemy, 71%. Incendies, 92%. Polytechnique, 88%. Maelstrom, 81%. This guy's only got one movie below 80 on Rotten Tomatoes. He's off to an amazing start. If this guy keeps it up, holy crap. And lastly, another one that I would imagine is very consistent, and the movies that are going to be negative in tomato meter, I'm going to disagree with because he's one of my favorite directors. David Fincher. Mank, 82. Gone Girl, 87. Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, 87. Social Network, 96. One of the most perfect movies ever made, in my opinion. Benjamin Button, 71. Zodiac, 89. Underrated. Should have been higher. 75% for Panic Room. 79% for Fight Club. The Game, 76. Never mind. This guy doesn't have a single negative movie. 7 gets an 81%. As I said, some things are lower. 7 should be higher than 81%. Fight Club should be higher than 79%. Zodiac should be higher than 89%, if I'm being honest. Yeah, this guy... Yeah, David Fincher is insane. He's only got a couple movies below 80. Benjamin Button is his lowest at 71%. David Fincher is crazy consistent. James Cameron as a director is very consistent. I kind of have a problem with James Cameron as far as what he puts his name on. But if we're talking strictly directing, yeah, James Cameron is very solid. His lowest reviewed movie... Let's see if we can find it quickly here. Hold on. James Cameron. His lowest rated... He didn't direct this. Piranha 2? Did he direct Piranha 2? There's no way. Holy crap, he did. He directed Piranha 2. 6% on Rotten Tomatoes. Well, that hurts. I forgot that he directed that. That was like his first movie, Piranha 2, with a 6% on Rotten Tomatoes. Holy crap. Does anything else that's negative though, director-wise? No, that's his only negative when he's in the director's chair. His highest rated is The Terminator, 100%, 1984, The Terminator. I agree. That was another one I was going to bring up, Jose. Even though I haven't seen all of his movies, I haven't seen all of the Sunset films, but Richard Linklater is insanely consistent. And not just consistent, like way up there. Let's take a look real quick. His movies review so high. I think some of them undeservedly so. If I had to pinpoint one of them, I don't think Boyhood is that great. Boyhood is a fine movie, but man, it was so overhyped. So unbelievably overhyped. 97% Rotten Tomatoes for Boyhood. But speaking specifically of the Sunset movies, hold on a sec here. Because those ones are insane in their reviews. Tarantino, let's jump over to Tarantino after this. I do want to take a look at Tarantino. I haven't seen all of his movies, but I'm gonna bet you that some of them are negative on Rotten Tomatoes, if I had to guess. I could be wrong on that. All right, so Before Midnight, 98%. Before Sunset, 94%. Before Sunrise, 100%. His before after thing, all of those movies are ridiculously high reviewed. It's kind of crazy. He does have some negatives though. Bad News Bears, actually he directed for 48%. Fast Food Nation, 49%. And Where'd You Go, Bernadette, 50%. So he does have some negatives. Also, his foot fetish turns some people off. All right, Tarantino. Let's take a look at Tarantino. Tarantino, does he have any negatives in the director's chair? Once Upon a Time has 85. Hateful Eight, 74. Django, 87. Inglourious Basterds, 89. Grindhouse, 84. Grindhouse, one of the other Grindhouse ones, 65, although I'm not sure that's one of the ones he directed. That was like 3 different directors, right? Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 both got around 85. So he might not have any negatives, actually. Jackie Brown, 87. I could have sworn he had one that was negative. From Dusk Till Dawn doesn't count. That's not his. I don't think he directed that. I think that was Robert Rodriguez, right? Pulp Fiction, 92. Yeah. Reservoir Dogs, 92. He does not have a negative. You're right. And he doesn't really go below 80 almost ever. He goes below 80 with The Hateful Eight. And I think that might be the only one. Yeah, I think that might be the only one. So good call there, Mel. Quentin Tarantino, very consistent. Not a single movie that he directed is negative on Rotten Tomatoes. I can't wait for that Resonance. I love Edgar Wright. He does have a few not as great films, though, so I wouldn't say Edgar Wright, but I do love Edgar Wright. But anyway, to the second part of the question, since we spent so long on the first part, directors that slowly lost it. And I think everybody thinks of the same one first. I saw King Kurt said it in the chat immediately. It's the one that came to my mind first. It is M. Night Shyamalan. And it sucks. Of course, M. Night Shyamalan just came out with Old. It's got like 55% on Rotten Tomatoes. This is a man that literally, I will never forget it. And I was incredibly young when this happened. The Sixth Sense came out and this guy exploded. Everybody was talking about Sixth Sense. Everybody was talking about M. Night Shyamalan at that time. So much so that his face was on the front of Entertainment Weekly. Big, his mug just taking up the entire Entertainment Weekly. And below it, it says, question, the next Steven Spielberg. This guy had one movie, literally one movie, and people were predicting that he would be the next Steven Spielberg. Then he had Unbreakable, which I really liked. Really liked Unbreakable. Then Signs happened. Okay, a little bit of a downturn, but I liked Signs. Signs was fine. But we're seeing a little bit of a downward trajectory. Village comes out. Unpopular opinion, but I don't think The Village is terrible. It's definitely weaker than his first 3, and I think it has a lot of strong ideas. It just has a twist that, although a clever twist, is an unsatisfying twist. So The Village, again, continuing that trajectory. Then Lady in the Water comes out, and holy shit. I think that was his 5th film, right? Hold on a sec. M. Night Shyamalan. Let's go down the list here. All right. His 5th movie was Lady in the Water. I was right. Then Lady in the Water happened. 25% on Rotten Tomatoes and deserved every bit of those negative reviews. Lady in the Water is a terrible movie. Absolutely terrible. What happens after that? The Happening. 17%. Let's go. Like, this is literally the downfall of a director. Let's watch this happen in real time. Almost. The Sixth Sense 86, Unbreakable 70, Sign 74. I feel like Unbreakable should have been higher. The Village 43, Lady in the Water 25, The Happening 17, The Last Airbender 5%. The Last Airbender had 5%. Literally, he is just in a constant downslope. Then he has a little bit of an uptick, but who cares at this point? After Earth with Will Smith, 11% on Rotten Tomatoes. And then he finally decides to go back to his roots and do a low-budget horror movie with The Visit. And he can get back above 60%. The Visit with 68%. Split after that with 77%. But then Glass? Holy shit, I hated Glass. Oh my god. A movie that actually retroactively ruined Unbreakable. One of my favorite real-life superhero films. He ruined it. He literally destroyed it with Glass. Ugh! I need to cough. Oh my god. Holy crap. Did I hate Glass. 37%. You didn't like the poopy diaper to the face, Mel? That's not your fetish, I guess. And then Old, 49%. Ooh, that's a great one to bring up, Fuzzbucket. We got to backtrack, but P.T. Anderson, Paul Thomas Anderson, definitely should be brought up. What an amazing director. I'm trying to think of what my favorite movie from him is. And if I had to say, I think it's actually Boogie Nights. Even though There Will Be Blood is unbelievable, I think my favorite Paul Thomas Anderson movie is Boogie Nights. But There Will Be Blood is insane. The Master is insane. Phantom Thread was really great. Yeah, that guy's unbelievably consistent too. Not a single negative movie as a director. He has Hard 8 at 81, Boogie Nights 93, Magnolia 83, Punch Drunk Love 79, There Will Be Blood 91, Master 84, Inherent Vice 73, Junin 100% for Junin, Phantom Thread 91, Anima 100%. That guy is insane. Definitely a very solid pick there, Fuzzbucket, for one of the most consistent directors of all time. He should have been brought up. But as far as other ones that had a slow downfall, see if we can do a little search here. Director's downfall. Let's look at that. Let's see if we can find one. 10 movies that marked the decline of great directors. Let's see. What pops up here? If it would load, tasteofcinema.com. Are you not like no longer a site? It won't load. I don't know. Nobody else like specifically comes to mind, honestly, besides M. Night Shyamalan. I'm sure there are other ones that have had a downward trajectory. Spielberg, honestly, is one of them. Spielberg is not what he used to be, I would say. He has certain moments where he has like brilliance again, but I feel like overall his average is lower than where he used to be. So this is funny. So Woody Allen is marked as having a downfall with Celebrity. Steven Spielberg marked as having a downfall with AI, artificial intelligence, which I don't think is entirely fair. He took that on from Stanley Kubrick, and I don't think it's that bad either. It's fine. Clint Eastwood's a kind of decent pick. I feel like Clint Eastwood has never been consistent, though. He had Million Dollar Baby, which was amazing, but he's had a lot of duds, Clint Eastwood. A lot of Oscar bait movies that did not work out. Let's see. Who else? They only have 6 movies? I thought this was 10. 10 movies. There must be a second page. Where's the second page at? Oh, there it is. Okay. AI is a weird movie, without a doubt. Hey, man, depressing's good. Give me all that depressing shit. I eat that up. I eat pieces of shit like that for breakfast. All right, this second page is not loading either. But now I'm sucked in. Now I need to see. Oliver Stone, U-Turn, Alfred Hitchcock, The Birds, really? Francis Ford Coppola, One from the Heart, George Lucas, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, and Michael Cimino for Heaven's Gate. Can't really comment on a lot of those. But I do think Clint Eastwood's a solid pick as well for the second part of this question. We spent too long on this question, but it's a great question coming in from They Call Me Denny. If you want to be like Denny and ask a great question, get on our Discord at discord.gg/the Level Up Network. Go to the hashtag in the Spotlight channel. Submit your hard-hitting questions for us to answer. Tim Burton is a pretty solid pick. I think the reason I wouldn't bring that up is I've never regarded Tim Burton that highly, I guess. Like, I know Ed Wood was solid. I know that Edward Scissorhands was solid. Even Frankenweenie was solid. I'm trying to think of what else he had early in his career. Batman, obviously, he had. But, you know, none of those movies are, like top-ranked movies for me. You know, I don't know. He's never been that great of a director. Nightmare Before Christmas. He didn't direct that, though, I thought he produced Nightmare Before Christmas. Am I wrong on that? Yeah, he produced it. I thought so. Let's see. Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Beetlejuice, Batman, 87, 85, 71. Edward Scissorhands, 90, which is one of his better ones. Batman Returns, 80. Ed Wood, 92. James and the Giant Peach, producer. He didn't direct it. Sleepy Hollow, 69. Big Fish, 75. Charlie and Chocolate Factory, 83. Tim Burton's Corpse Bride, 84. Sweeney Todd, 86. Alice in Wonderland, 51. Dark Shadows, 35. Frankenweenie, 87. Yeah, I don't know. He hasn't had like a consistent downfall. He's kind of like up and down. I'm not sure I would say him. Frankenweenie was solid. It was. Frankenweenie was solid. That was a solid weenie. Full chub, man. Anyway, let us move on to the climax of this show here. We got our top 7 stories of the month. Starting off with number 7, a quick story at number 7. A Waterworld TV series is in the works, GameSpot reporting. In very unexpected but wonderful news, a TV series based on the 1995 Kevin Costner movie Waterworld, and also, we hope, the award-winning Waterworld, a live Sea War spectacular stunt show. Is that a thing? The news comes from Collider, which reports that John Davis, a producer on the film, is currently developing the project for a streaming network. Davis said, "We're going to do the streaming version of that movie, the continuation of that movie," so it sounds like it's a sequel. The film is set in the year 2500 with the seas having risen to cover the entire planet with water. We know this. We've seen this. Waterworld is an interesting movie. I don't think it's a bad movie. It's not good either. It's just wildly ambitious. It was, at the time, the most expensive movie production of all time, and infamously lost a shit ton of money. It was considered a true bomb and disaster. But I don't think it's an awful movie. It's a weird, quirky, ambitious movie. And for that reason, in some ways, I respect it. And I do think they could do neat things with the concept with a series, but it's going to have to be a very high budget series. We talked about this during our making of last night, that anytime you're shooting on water, you're automatically going to get into a high budget territory. It's one of the first things that gets cut from movies, if they can. Cut out the water scenes. If you're on the water, cut it out. It's a lot of budget that goes into that. So we'll have to wait and see. Another revival here, the Exorcist reboot trilogy has been confirmed. GameSpot writes, Halloween reboot director David Gordon Green, currently wrapping up his Halloween trilogy, will helm the first of 3 movies for The Exorcist. Leslie Odom Jr., who was in Hamilton, will star in what's being called a, quote, fresh new take of the beloved property. These films will be a continuation of the original series. Joining Odom is Ellen Burstyn, who will be reprising her role as Chris McNeil from the 1973 Exorcist, of which Burstyn was nominated for an Academy Award for actress in a lead role. That's kind of crazy that they're bringing back that character and got Ellen Burstyn to come back as the character. That's pretty awesome. Quote, Blumhouse has always experienced incredible partnership from the team at Universal, and I'm grateful to Donna Langley and Jimmy Horowitz for believing in the vision of David's film and having the foresight to be flexible with distribution, so the team feels top-notch support through the lifeline of the film. They're committed to theatrical exhibition and will also serve streaming viewers well by bringing an exciting franchise like The Exorcist to Peacock, is where they're going with that. So Exorcist is one of the most horrifying movies of all time. To this day, I still feel like it is one of the scariest movies of all time. I had so many nightmares because of this movie, and I don't normally get that. Horror movies don't typically stick with me for that reason. I'm not somebody that's easily scared to the point of it causing nightmares. I might have like jump scares, cheap thrills like that, but it's rare that a horror movie sticks with me in the way that The Exorcist did. Now, I don't really feel like the sequels are very good, White Topaz. The original is what I'm talking about here, and the original is a true horror classic deserving of all the praise that it received. Moving on to our number 5 story of the month with another revival, although this one is being confirmed dead. Die Hard prequel called McClane. That was it. It was just called McClane. Is officially dead. IGN writes, after spending more than 5 years in development on a 6th entry, the Die Hard franchise is now officially dormant. Producer Lorenzo di Bonaventura confirmed that McClane, a project conceived as both a prequel and a sequel to the action series, was abandoned following the Disney-Fox merger in 2019. Quote, yeah, no, it's not happening. What was really interesting was we actually came up with an idea to do it. It was a project that wasn't Die Hard that then eventually shifted over to Die Hard. So it sounds like that wasn't the plan originally, and they added the name to it. McClane was set to feature Bruce Willis's return to the role of John McClane with a structure that would have shifted between a modern timeline and the 1970s. A different actor would have played a younger version of McClane, with the story exploring the character's early days as a New York police officer. Quote, what was interesting about our idea was it allowed you the ability to meet the young John McClane and use Bruce. Di Bonaventura said, it was really interesting in that way, so you sort of got to see both versions of him, a bit like The Godfather Part 2. Yes, R.I.P. Alan Rickman, one of the great losses of recent memory. Very sad to this day that we lost that man. Great actor. So, I don't know. I'm kind of glad it's dead. Let that franchise die, actually. Speaking of a franchise that keeps going, man, there's a lot of stories like this month. Clerks 3, not only confirmed, it starts production next month. I think like next week. No, actually August 2nd it starts production. Director Kevin Smith is set to start production on Clerks 3 in August, according to a tweet by the man himself, which also shares that entertainment company Lionsgate has acquired worldwide rights to the film. This means he's also been able to hold true to his plans. He announced in January to film the highly awaited sequel this year. Before I continue, let me know in the chat, what is your favorite View Askew movie? Continuing on, also back in January, Smith took to Facebook to share a fraction of the script's first page, which only set the scene for the movie's tone, but not much else. Via release, Deadline now has a synopsis, which is, quote, following a massive heart attack, Randall enlists Dante, Elias, Jay, and Silent Bob to make a movie immortalizing his life at the convenience store that started it all. Smith has indicated this will be a personal story, drawing directly on the heart attack that nearly killed him 3 years ago. Filming will begin on August 2nd in just a couple days. That is Kevin Smith's birthday. So, Clerks 1 is an absolute classic. Clerks 2, I enjoy, but I do think it goes off the rails in the second half. We've talked about this a lot, myself and my cousins recently. The moment they have the donkey show, we agree. Myself, my brother, and my cousin, we talk about this a lot, that the movie just goes like a little too far. Rosario Dawson is coming back. Doom Turkey, which is great news. So yeah, she is coming back. The concept for it, I think, has promise, especially considering that it's drawing on the events, the heart attack that Kevin Smith suffered, that really was a severe heart attack. Like, he almost died. So he's got a lot of emotional stuff to pull from there for this movie. Dogma, but not much else, really. Interesting. Dogma's solid. I really like Chasing Amy as well. I like Clerks. I like Clerks 2 just fine. Mallrats is a guilty pleasure. It's a dumb movie, but I like it. But it is definitely dumb. It's a dumb movie. None of his movies are like, to me, Oscar-worthy productions. I think Clerks got a huge boost from being his first film, being so indie budget and clever in its writing. It has a charm to it for sure due to that. And I'm hoping he's able to channel that, because this is, as they said, immortalizing his life at the convenience store. So it probably will be about them doing a movie about Clerks. It's a very meta thing, right? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they reshoot scenes from Clerks 1 in Clerks 3 as a sort of dramatization of the events from Clerks 1 in the movie that they're making in Clerks 3. You know? Like, I could see that happening. So, I'll keep an eye on this one. I hope it does well. Moving on, let's get to the roundup stories here. We're going to start off with video game news at number 3. First up, a huge story in my opinion. The Last of Us HBO series might cost $200 million per season. WCCF Tech writes, HBO's upcoming The Last of Us series is likely to be one of the biggest TV video game adaptations ever, but it seems HBO may be pinning even bigger hopes on the show than you might expect. New info about the planned scope of the show was recently leaked by a rather unlikely source, namely Alberta Premier Jason Kenney. The Last of Us series began filming in the Canadian province this summer, and during a speech touting Alberta's rebounding economy, Kenney let slip that HBO is spending $200 million per season on the project and plans to produce as many as 8 seasons. 8 seasons for The Last of Us. Let me pause for a second here and say that another story that was released last month says that the entire first game is being covered in the first season. So how the hell are they doing 8 seasons? 8 seasons with the first game being covered in the first season. That's a whole lot of seasons for a story we've already seen play out. Previously, Neil Druckmann indicated that they'd be doing a fairly straightforward adaptation with the first season covering the first game. So that came straight from Druckmann's mouth. So it seems that is the truth, that we will get the entire first story in the first season. Let's see here. That said, Druckmann also said they were going to deviate greatly from the source material in some ways, so who knows what may happen. If the series is a smash hit and HBO wants more seasons, I'm guessing plans may very well change. So if I had to guess, this thing is going to go much longer than the games. Much longer. Now, we might get a Last of Us Part 3 in the games, but maybe because of this, we don't. What's the average budget for a season? Are we talking about in general? Like, what's the average budget for, like, any season of television? That's a really hard thing to say. 10 million, 20 million? Maybe. If you're getting towards, like, Game of Thrones territory, Witcher territory, like, you're going to get up towards 50, 60, 100 million per season. Supposedly, The Lord of the Rings has an astronomical budget on it as well. But typically, you know, Sweet Tooth, a movie I talked about earlier, I'd be surprised if Sweet Tooth had a budget higher than $30, $40 million for the entire season. If I had to guess. So $200 million is astronomical. That is final seasons of HBO Game of Thrones level. Dude, wait, Topaz, is there a number? I'd be so curious to see if I have any type of gauge for this kind of thing. Now I gotta look too. Sweet Tooth production budget. Let's see. Anything on it? Sometimes IMDb will have an estimate. Typically, you don't see it a lot with TV shows, though. Movies you can usually find a production budget for, but it's often not the case when it comes to TV. Yeah, it's not on IMDb, which would be the first place I would go. Right, I definitely don't think this means they're going to ruin it. It means that they've got amazing source material to feed off of for the first couple seasons, and then it's a question of, can they keep the quality of writing consistent with how great the first 2 games are? Because they're going to have to go in completely new territory after that. But at least I am very confident that the first 2 seasons, maybe first 3 seasons, because I could see The Last of Us Part 2 being 2 seasons of television, whereas the first game is 1 season. So you get 3 seasons of TV, I think, at least, out of the games. And then we're in the mystery, the unknown, the infinite unknown But I'm still very confident with Neil Druckmann on board this and the amazing talent. I think the percentage chance of this being bad is like 5. There's 10 episodes per season, King Kurt. I'm like 95% sure that this show is going to be amazing. You don't bring in the talent that they have, from the cast to the composer, Gustavo Santaolalla, to pretty much everybody that worked on Chernobyl, one of the greatest miniseries of all time. You don't get that quality of cast and production and not have a great show. It's just so unlikely in this case. So, no, I definitely have more faith than you, King Kurt, on this one. But yeah, it does feel like they want this to be their Walking Dead / Game of Thrones. That is what they're looking for here. That's what they want to happen. Look at our girl. What a freaking amazing game. One of the greatest of all time. You can see them not doing The Last of Us Part 2 until Season 5? Oh, like you can see them filling in the gap? Let me pause for a second. That's an interesting idea. Like, do they do The Last of Us Part 1, and then there's a whole bunch of stuff filling in the gap between The Last of Us Part 1 and Last of Us Part 2? That's a possibility, Rick. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but they could certainly do that. And then close the series off with The Last of Us Part 2 being like 2 or 3 seasons of TV. We'll have to wait and see. Moving on with more video game news. What is in my throat? I would almost guarantee you there's a bug in my throat. Literally a bug in my throat. I breathe in a bug. The amount of gnats in this basement. Oh my God. Pokemon live action series in development at Netflix. IGN writes, Netflix is working on a live action Pokemon series headed up by Lucifer's Joe Henderson. According to Variety, Henderson is slated to write and executive produce the live-action adaptation. He is currently the co-showrunner on Netflix's popular Lucifer series based on the DC comic. Reports are saying that the series is aiming to replicate Detective Pikachu, a 2019 live-action Pokemon movie starring Ryan Reynolds and Justice Smith. Hey, I'm there. We've been wanting a live-action Pokemon for the longest time. I think some people thought Detective Pikachu scratched that itch. I think a lot of people just wanted traditional Pokemon, you know, Pokemon Masters going out into the wild, trying to catch them all. Sounds like this is not necessarily going in that direction, but I hope they have more of that in this. I do want a little bit more traditional Pokemon in this TV series. But I think Detective Pikachu showed that it can be done in live action. It can work. That's a solid movie. And finally, there is no Tomb Raider sequel script yet, but Alicia Vikander does want to continue on as Lara Croft. She said, quote, I would love to return as Lara again. After this last year, you know, everything had to be put on hold, but now that the world is starting to get up and running again, not sure about that. I know that Misha Green has just started. She's, I think, the director, has just started, and there will be a script coming at some point. I'm really looking forward to reading it. So it doesn't confirm that she's attached, but she's looking forward to reading the script. So we'll have to wait and see. The first one was almost accurate apart from one dumb thing. Interesting. I haven't seen it yet. I'll be honest. I actually have not seen the first Alicia Vikander Tomb Raider movie. I've seen in the trailers that she doesn't get the dual pistols until like the very, very end. So that's kind of annoying. But you would hope that in the sequel that she starts immediately with the dual pistols. Moving on, let's get into some DC news. Starting off with Michael B. Jordan developing a Val Zod series for HBO Max. IGN writes Michael B. Jordan is now in the DC business. The actor and his production company Outlier Society are developing an HBO Max limited series focusing on Val Zod, a black Kryptonian that holds the mantle of Superman per Collider. According to reports, Outlier Society has already tapped a writer to pen the script for the series. Jordan is attached to produce and could potentially star, though the actor has not committed to the role. What's interesting about this to me is this is about Val Zod. This is a TV series. The movie that J.J. Abrams is producing with Ta-Nehisi Coates, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, directing. That is a Black Clark Kent movie. So you got two Black Superman things happening here. One with Val Zod, an actual Black Superman from the comics, and one sort of, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, blackwashing Clark Kent, which I think is going to bother a lot of people. I'm not saying I agree or disagree with that, but a lot of people are going to say, you've got Val Zod. That is the actual Black Superman. Why not let Val Zod have his movie and not sort of undermine that by taking an already established Superman and turning him into Clark Kent? But at the same time, the argument against that is that if you actually want to make an impact here, you say, no, Clark Kent as a Black person is a much bigger deal. That shows that we've come this far, that we can allow something like that to happen. And it also is an interesting dynamic because it's about an alien. It's about a world that needs to accept an alien. When you make that alien a Black person with unbelievable power, now it enters racial commentary that's very interesting. I think we all know how Black people are stereotyped as being strong, having higher pain tolerance, these stereotypes that have existed racially for such a long time, make that dynamic very interesting. And if they tap into that, it could be an interesting story. Both of them could be very interesting. We'll have to wait and see. Leslie Grace is Batgirl. I'm trying to see if there's anything interesting about this. Not too much, really. I think she looks great. I think she looks really great. One thing that I think is interesting, though, is J.K. Simmons is supposedly being brought back as Commissioner Gordon. When you have Jeffrey Wright playing Commissioner Gordon in The Batman, an actual Black man playing Commissioner Gordon, so why not have the Black man play the Black actress's father? So I think that's kind of interesting, but that's cool. She looks great. I think she could be a great, at least visually. I have no idea who Leslie Grace is outside of that. I have not seen her performances, but she looks the part for me. I think that looks great. Colin Farrell, speaking of the Batman, is only in the movie for 5 to 6 scenes. He, of course, plays the Penguin. He said, quote, "I'm only in it for 5 or 6 scenes, so I can't wait to see the film because it won't be ruined by my presence. Really, it's a freebie for me. I'll get a little bit uncomfortable for the fucking 9 minutes I have, and then the rest of it, I cannot wait to see how Reeves brought this world to life. Farrell is unrecognizable in the Batman thanks to an impressive work of makeup artist Mike Marino. Farrell called, quote, an absolute and veritable genius. In addition to the makeup for his face, Farrell wore a bodysuit because he didn't want to put on weight again after he did that for a role for the North Water. So that's exciting. And then finally, the Margot Robbie story of the night. Very short and sweet here. She does not want to come back as playing Harley Quinn anytime soon. She needs a break from the character. She said, quote, it was kind of back-to-back filming with Birds of Prey and then filming this, Suicide Squad. So I was kind of like, oof, I need a break from Harley because she's exhausting. I don't know when we're going to see her next. I'm just as intrigued as everyone else. I could get that. That feels like it would be an exhausting character to play. I'm out of soda, and I feel like I still have a gnat in my throat. I need to get like a bug catcher down here or something. Yeah, I totally get it. I don't blame her at all. It's interesting. I think probably the most interesting quote of that is that she said, I don't know when we're going to see her next. So she has not been approached with the next movie, the next Suicide Squad, a script of any kind for when Harley Quinn will be in a movie next. So it actually might be a little while before we see that character again. Throw me a 20i? What are we talking about? She's not getting any younger. Oof. Oof, Tube Turkey. Yikes. I think Margot Robbie is aging beautifully. So I have no concerns whatsoever when it comes to that. She is one of the most beautiful women in Hollywood, and I don't think that's changing anytime soon. Moving on to the number one story of the month. Stories. Because we're going to get into the MCU news. Marvel Cinematic Universe. Scarlett Johansson is suing Disney over Black Widow's streaming release on Disney Plus. Wall Street Journal writes Scarlett Johansson, star of the latest Marvel movie Black Widow, filed a lawsuit Thursday in Los Angeles Superior Court against Disney, alleging her contract has breached when the media giant released a film on its Disney Plus streaming service at the same time as its theatrical debut. Ms. Johansson said in the suit that her agreement with Disney guaranteed an exclusive theatrical release. Guaranteed an exclusive theatrical release. And her salary was based in large part on a box office performance of that film. Quote, Disney intentionally induced Marvel's breach of the agreement without justification in order to prevent Ms. Johansson from realizing the full benefit of her bargain with Marvel, the suit said. So here's the thing. Yes, she is multimillionaire, probably hundreds of millions of dollars. She does not need money. But, I mean, what can you say? Like, this is clear cut to me. She deserves it. She is in the right here. Disney is in the wrong. Doesn't matter how much money she has. She deserves more money based on this. Now, granted, COVID, I'm sure, played a part as well in box office. It's not just because it was on Disney Plus. But the fact of the matter is, if this is true, the contract guaranteed an exclusive theatrical release. That did not happen. They are breach of contract. She deserves more money. How much money that is, I'm sure will be negotiated, because it's not as clear cut as, hey, it's on Disney Plus. This many people watch it on Disney Plus. I deserve this amount times the ticket, price. It's not that simple, because COVID also played a factor. But they will be negotiating that, just as they will be negotiating with Emma Stone, who is looking into a lawsuit for Cruella, and Emily Blunt, who is looking into a lawsuit for Jungle Cruise. And maybe the actor who's playing Shang-Chi, maybe he also needs to negotiate. I don't think we're going to see Disney Plus Premier Access stuff go away, but you're going to see negotiations happen ahead of time to fix what Disney got wrong, because it does need to be fixed, as Kevin Feige has said as well. Kevin Feige being the beautiful man that he is. Let me pause for a second here. You guys saw Daredevil on screen, because Kingpin might be joining the MCU. This comes from Geek Feed, who wrote, while Marvel Netflix properties like Daredevil have been defunct from MCU canon, there has been a push from fans to have some of the characters come back to the official timeline. Rumors have been going around that Charlie Cox will be coming back as Matt Murdock for Spider-Man No Way Home, and Kingpin will be coming back, Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin, for Disney Plus's Hawkeye series. So that's crazy exciting. Continuing on with more Hawkeye news, up on screen we got Ronin. That is going to premiere on Disney Plus on November 24th. And we've got some shots of Hawkeye. The new Hawkeye. Somebody correct, I keep drawing a blank on the actress's name. Now I gotta look it up again. Why do I keep forgetting? She's a great actress and I keep forgetting her name. I apologize to you. What is your name? Oh my god. You got Jeremy Renner, of course. I'm not talking about Jeremy Renner. I am talking about stop popping up quickly. Kate Bishop is played by, what is your name? Where are you? Haley Steinfeld. Haley Steinfeld will be playing Kate Bishop, and we got some shots on the set of her in costume. Looking great, about to pop up here after this iconic line. Don't give me hope. It's a good scene. It's a good scene. I hope we bring back Bullseye, too. He was amazing. Yes. Yes. We got to bring back Bullseye. He was so good. Here we go. Haley Steinfeld. I love the purple. Pinkish purple. Looking great. This is my favorite goofy shot here of her. Looking good. And lastly, another great shot here of Haley Steinfeld in full costume. Beaming, looking so happy. Good for her. It's a big win for her to pick up that role. Moving on. Blade has found its director. IGN writes, Marvel's new Blade film has reportedly found its director, coming from Mogul Mowgli. 2020's Mogul Mowgli. The director, Bassam Tariq, currently in talks to take on this role. And that was dozens of candidates up for the director's seat, and he won, supposedly. Mogul Mowgli starred Riz Ahmed from Sound of Metal and Rogue One as a British Pakistani rap artist on the verge of his big break, but suddenly contracts a deadly autoimmune disease. Let's take a look here real quick at Mogul Mowgli on Rotten Tomatoes. Let's see the track record for this guy. Mogul Mowgli from 2020 has, on Rotten Tomatoes, 96%. With an average rating of 7.4 out of 10 from both the general critics and the top critics. So an average tomato meter score, not the highest average rating, but still solid scores for Mogul Mowgli. So hopefully this guy continues on from that. I wonder what about that movie made them want to pick him up for this. Emily Blunt up on screen here. Wait for the yoga pose, you guys. It's beautiful. Does not desire to play a superhero. She said, quote, I really understand that superhero movies are like a religion for a lot of people. They don't appeal to me in the same way. I don't have this burning desire to play a superhero. This is news for Marvel because a lot of people really want her to play Sue Storm, you know, the wife of Reed Richards, with a lot of people wanting John Krasinski to play Reed Richards. But maybe that doesn't happen because she does not seem to really be interested. Quote, it's been exhausting. We are inundated. It's not only all the movies, it's the endless TV shows as well. It's not to say that I never want to play one. It would just have to be something so cool and like a really cool character, and then I'd be interested. Blunt says she doesn't usually rush out to see new superhero movies, maybe because I feel they leave me feeling a bit cold. I don't know, you guys. First off, I think John Krasinski's not going to be Reed Richards because I think Reed Richards will be black. I am like so sure of that. I am so sure that whoever they cast as Reed Richards will be black. James Gunn thinks superhero movies are really dumb. Out of context a little bit, let's read the full quote here. Quote, we know about the way cowboy films went and the way war films went, says Gunn. I don't know. I think you don't have to be a genius to put two and two together and see that there's a cycle to those sorts of films. You know, and that the only hope for the future of the comic book and superhero films is to change them up. They're really dumb and they're mostly boring for me right now. So specifically he's saying right now. So is he talking about like the last year? Because really the only things that have come out in the last year from superhero films are Wonder Woman 1984 and Zack Snyder's Justice League. If we include TV, you have Invincible, which was, I thought, great. Invincible was great. Jupiter Ascending, or whatever it was called on Netflix, I heard not great things about. But I don't know. I just don't think he has a lot to go off of here. And it's not like Guardians of the Galaxy like reinvented superhero films. It's got like a quirky vibe to it, but I think a lot of people would argue that those movies are intentionally dumb. Suicide Squad, intentionally dumb. That's not an insult to those movies. I haven't even seen the new Suicide Squad yet, but they have a juvenile humor to them. And he's making those movies. I don't quite understand what he's going for here. It's got to be the new DC stuff, but there's really just not a lot to be hinging this on. I don't think he should have said this. I'm just going to say it. I don't think he should have said this, especially with Suicide Squad about to come out. It seems a little unfair to me. Now, granted, Suicide Squad is reviewing incredibly. So he's got some ground to stand on there because he just made a great superhero film. But I still feel like it's kind of like when Scorsese was saying it. In some ways, Scorsese saying it is more okay than him saying it. Because Scorsese doesn't make superhero films and has been around for 30 years. And as we talked about earlier, is one of the most consistently great directors of all time. He's got this legacy, whereas James Gunn has worked on a lot of superhero films, but has never reinvented the genre through them, whether it be Super or Guardians of the Galaxy, or now even Suicide Squad. It doesn't sound like it reinvents the genre. So yeah, I don't quite like his take on this. I'm hoping that it's being misconstrued and misunderstood is what I'm kind of hoping is the case here for James Gunn. Because I like James Gunn. I'm not going to like hold this against him. I'm not going to be like, I hate James Gunn now. But I don't really like that quote. That is the show, ladies and gentlemen. And we got time to spare. I wanted to get to our watch along by 10 p.m. and we're going to do it, which is amazing. Thank you so much to everybody that joined tonight. We got very close to 20 viewers. That's solid. I feel like that's actually an improvement over past episodes of Lights Up. We're bringing in new people. We got a follow tonight from Savage Patch, which is awesome. If anybody else is new in the chats and you enjoyed this episode of Lights Up, I do it typically on the first Saturday of every month. Hit that heart button here at twitch.tv/The Level Up Show. Turn on notifications. Make sure you get notifications whenever I go live. No worries, Rick. No worries at all. Thank you, Mel, as well. Rick, Mel, Sherry, Fuzzbucket, everybody that has supported Lights Up from the beginning. I really appreciate it. Obviously, I don't do this show because it brings in the viewers. I don't do this show because it's helping me on Twitch. It's not. And a lot of work has to go into it, as you saw last night. It takes a lot of work to put together this show. But I love talking about movies and television, so I want to keep doing it. I hope that we can gradually build an audience with this. We've only done 8 episodes. It's only once a month. We're going to keep chugging along. We're going to keep grinding, keep trying to bring in new people, and keep doing watch-alongs because we have so much fun doing that. So if you want to support what we're doing here, hit that follow button and get on our Discord because that's where we do the watch-alongs. Hashtag watch-along channel. You do not need to be a sub. You do not need to be a patron. You don't need to be anything. Just get on the Discord and go to the channel and you'll be able to watch the show or movie that we're doing that month with us. We also have the hashtag in the spotlight channel for your questions on movies and TV. And we have the hashtag movie suggestions channel so that you can suggest movies and TV shows for us to watch in the follow-up to the Lights Up show. You guys are amazing. I will see you all in a little bit because I got to get set up. I got to order my pizza. Thank you so much to Rick and Mel and Store for funding that. Yes, watch-alongs for all your Buzz Drew needs. I'm hoping that we get Buzz tonight. Not just me. I hope we all get a little bit buzzed tonight on Return of the King Extended Edition. We got like 4+ hours of Lord of the Rings to celebrate tonight. And I hope to see you all then. Get on the Discord, hang out on the Watch Along channel. Give me 10 to 15 minutes and I'll get set up. I will see you all then. I'll go to a little intermission here in the meantime. Until next time, take care. And as always, don't forget to level up, everybody.